then that is deeply subversive.
Okay. Hello, this is my little
Then that is deeply subversive.
I didn't even hear that.
deeply subversive.
Oh.
It's the as much as you get as an intro. It's like our catchphrase for the PO box.
You just got those stories.
Then that is deeply subversive.
Yeah, well, that's the only one I've got. Welcome one and all to the PO box with Mr. PO. Welcome back.
Hello.
And me, your host, Pose Law. Thanks so much for the viewer who requested Metropolis. This is my first time watching this film. The 1927 version, not the anime or the 80s version with Freddie Mercury soundtrack, but the original orchestral soundtrack, which was really cool. I liked it. I really liked the soundtrack. The film, I really liked some parts of. Overall, it's my review. Have you seen it before?
No, I never saw it. My general opinion about classics.
Yeah.
Older classics. There's a lot of disappointment mixed in with good stuff.
So was this more disappointment or more?
No,
I'd say you're very jaded, so your expectations are like low for everything you go into. Like whether it's a new film with a director you like or an old film that's been hyped to the moon.
I would say I'm jaded. So general opinion on what is considered classics is that there is a lot of tryhards recommending old bad films and just hyping them up as good.
Yeah.
There's not that they're bad films, but it's hard to trust sometimes. Back in the day, I think it's like a lot of people do in their 20s or like teens when you need to see the best ones. Like you go on IMDb top 10 and go, I'm going to watch all those ones or whatever.
I'm going to watch the greatest.
Yeah, you buy
Casablanca.
You go through them. Yeah, everyone goes through that phase of trying to read the best books or whatever. I feel.
I'm still in my 20s, so I'm still doing it.
Yeah, so you feel like, oh yeah, these are considered the best ones. I must read them, and I went through that, and there was a kind of mix of these are really good, and these are not very good.
Yeah.
That really. I'd say Metropolis. I'd say it's better than I expected.
Someone in chat says it's long and boring, and I think I can see why he thinks that.
Oh yeah.
It was long. We watched the 2-hour 20-minute version in 3 sittings because we have hectic lives.
Well, not that. I mean, we could have probably watched it in one if we really wanted to, but I wanted to.
Did you fall asleep?
No.
Okay. No, we just wanted to go to bed because it was getting to.
Yeah, I mean,
that time of night.
I didn't want to have to watch it in one sitting, so I just decided. I knew you wanted to watch it. So I put it on just to see if it's really awful.
Okay, so the first sitting, episode 1 for us.
First of all, we watched the restored version.
Yeah, 2 hours 20 minutes.
Yeah. Well,
original soundtrack. It's got sections in it that were restored from a very grainy 16mm. Footage that was found in a museum fairly recently.
Yeah, like
2005.
2000s this year. So it came out in 1927.
Which didn't help with the runtime. I don't know what the edited version was.
Apparently, the film was filmed in 16 frames a second, but they show it
slowly
in 24 or whatever. I don't know. That adds to
the runtime.
I don't know. I could work out if that make it faster or slower. It's that simple maths, but I mean, it is what it is. It's a very old film. Like a lot of them.
If you're showing more frames in a second, then that means it's going faster. Like you're watching it sped up.
I don't know.
I think. But I think the first section, long and boring. It was just this very basic, my first dystopia Fisher-Price set with. The introduction to the workers, and there was some interesting cinematography. I really like a lot of the shots in this film, the sets. I got some photos here to go through. some screenshots, I should say. Where is it? There it is. So I think that the scale of this film was amazing, but other than like looking at the great pictures, just trying to show it here. Other than looking at the screen, I thought the story and the acting were all quite basic, and like you said, like the pacing was very slow. The plot points were just kind of weird. You've got this kind of Prince and the Pauper thing where the son of the rich guy wants to see what it's like to work among the lowly workers.
I mean, as YouTube videos have told me, apparently it's impressionistic. It's not. It's going for.
It's not literal.
An operatic. Yeah, it's doing that deliberately. It's not just because they didn't know how to do a story or whatever. Like they're going for a very broad, impressionistic execution.
Yeah, but to me, that's just, I get that. But it also, like, it's like you just said, like they made the film bad on purpose. Like,
I think it made it much bad.
I didn't like it. I didn't like that part of it.
Well, yeah, I think it takes a certain acclimatizing to.
Yeah.
Like once I'd watched like 10 or 20 minutes of it, I was sort of like.
There we go. Yeah. So, start of the film. I think it has, really great visually. And
the sets soundtrack are absolutely like it's crazy how good the sets are.
Yeah. And just the scale of like the number of actors, like it's like watching like a musical, like how coordinated all the actors are. It's all done very well. It's just that okay, there's a rich guy and he was, it's all just like plot elements you've seen thousands of permutations of, and he falls in love with the first woman he sees, who's like it's extremely sweet, generous, mothering, kind of nurturing figure to all these like pathetic orphans or children.
Again, it's just you got the excuse that it's not meant to be going for realism. But there's the scene. She doesn't even get introduced as a character. She just appears, and what is more or less the main character of the film sees her and falls in love with her, or becomes intrigued with her to the level that he goes out into the world for the first time and experiences everything that he had, because he's the son of the guy that runs the city.
He's not like a dictator though. He's like a bureaucrat. He's like a CEO of elite city.
Yeah, I think they're trying to again evoke the emotional feeling of what he is. Like they don't get into the logistics of like, was he elected? Is he? Yeah, they don't care about that. He's the in charge guy.
Yeah,
and this is the in charge guy's son, and he's coddled and looked after, and somehow the woman ends up in the highest. I'm guessing the security part of the thing with a bunch of kids, and just says, these are your brothers. I don't know if she's talking to him.
There is something weird with the film where it's not always clear who people like who is looking at who or talking to whom, or like when something like they hadn't quite. It's like they hadn't quite figured out how to really convey intention to the audience, because there are a lot of times when I just didn't know what I was watching. Like, is this a dream? Did this happen? Are these two things happening in the same room, or like miles apart?
The film has explicit dream or fantasy sequences, but also the entire film is
fantastical.
Dream-like. I looked it up, and there's apparently there's different like schools of thought about when the film is set. Like it's set 100 years after, so now basically, so 2027. But apparently the book of the film that was written beforehand explicitly states that it's not set in any time or place.
I mean, that's
so it's,
okay.
It's like Star Wars, it's like it's just
okay.
Don't,
the galaxy far away.
It's saying don't try to figure out that this is like Chicago or like
this isn't 40K.
It's like that's not what we're doing here. This is a story about this place. Like this place doesn't
Okay.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
don't worry
it's
about
like
that.
more or less like a morality tale. Like you're not even really telling a story about real people. It's like you're looking at principles taking place on the screen without.
Archetypes and
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, what I wanted to say is that first 20 minutes I think is kind of boring, and then maybe that was like more like 40 minutes. But as soon as the robot comes to life and she leads this rebellion through the this is a robot, by the way. So the iconic Metropolis robot, who's like on all covers, quickly transforms into this realistic looking woman. So it's just played by this virtuous, nurturing woman who the guy falls in love with. She also plays the evil robot woman. So the scientist who you said was Rick from Rick and Morty, or like Doc Brown from.
I don't know if that archetype was invented.
It's
in
like a mad,
Metropolis,
or he's like a mad scientist. He's like
it
an old
predates.
grandpa.
I know it predates Einstein, but yeah, it's the earliest visually. Like he's got a black glove. I don't know if he's missing a hand or something, but he's got like that. Doctor Strange glove.
Anyway,
Doctor Strange glove's like thing to him. He's like, I don't know what his motivations were, whether he hated the guy that was in charge or whether he wanted to be in charge.
Well, I didn't understand this either until we watched an essay about it on YouTube to like explain what the actual plot was. But he was trying to like quell the rebellion, but he ended up accidentally causing the rebellion.
He wasn't trying to quell the rebellion. He was trying to.
Okay. Well, that's just what the guy on YouTube said.
He was the mad scientist guy. What was his name?
Is that Fritz Lang, or is that the director's name? It sounded like
Fritz Lang is the
Fritz
director.
the director. Yeah, but there's like I think the scientist's name sounded like the.
I don't know, but yeah, he's trying.
You figure it out because I was in the middle of saying the plot.
Okay. Well,
So
I know you're getting the plot wrong.
This robot, the plot isn't even really important because once this evil woman like leads the rebellion like of the workers, these like thousands of faceless drones in overalls start to like swarm, and as soon as that started happening, I was completely in. Like, this is really cool. like just the scale of the acting and the sets and like the frenzy of this like swarm of people moving and becoming like a force of nature, and the music and that is already good at that point as well. I was really enjoying the film pretty much from that point all the way to the end. It was well made. It was exciting. I liked it. I don't know why the film took so long to get to that point. It was like you'd be really if someone says like this is the film with the robot, and it's like the robot doesn't even appear until like 35 minutes in.
I mean, the first part of the film is I don't think it does like an incredibly polished like way of doing it, but it's like the function of the first half is to introduces the characters, sets up the world, as you'd expect. Yeah, that's what it's for. I don't want to get into like the politics of the film because it's quite interesting. I can't think of another film that's seemingly aiming very explicitly for moderation. Literally, like the message of the film is literally typed out and put on the screen.
Yeah. I've never seen the message of a morality film pressed so strongly. It's like an Aesop's fable.
It's like flat out tell you the message of the film is that you should
the hands and the head
must be moderated by the heart.
Yes.
So it's saying that the workers and the elites
like
work together.
Like neither the elites nor the workers are really evil. It's only the lack of mediation that brings out the evil in both. So it ends up being like quite nuanced for a propaganda film.
I think it's meant to be a propaganda.
I mean,
propaganda in this, it's pushing a message. But I don't know the core point of propaganda is to not be explicit.
Yeah. I mean, it was like comedically ham-fisted.
But because it starts off and like the more cliched way to do it would be that the workers were correct and rebelling the right thing to do.
Like Les Mis. It's like unambiguously like all of the good people are on the side of the rebellion.
I mean, Les Mis has a little bit of like they're a bit over idealistic, but there's no counterbalance to it. There's no real. Is there any good? I guess Jean Valjean is like upper class eventually.
Yeah, he's a nouveau riche.
Yeah, but no. Anyway, Metropolis. Yeah, that you see that they've got like an underground rebellion fermenting, but the fermenting of the rebellion is the good woman, the non-robotized.
Yeah. That was a good version of the rebellion.
And she's explicitly saying, "Don't rebel. We're waiting for the moderator to arrive."
Yeah, and that's what she ends up bringing about by like her plan is to take these kids and showing
mediator.
Yeah, just show the moderators that we have in debate.
Well, this is, I mean, I think they've got the same. Route.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, mediator. Yeah, to be in the middle of.
Yeah.
So she brings those children up to show to the son of the rich guy.
Is it even made explicit that she was trying to recruit him as a mediator, or was that just like what
she
she does?
Was just trying to recruit someone.
Between meetings, she just goes around.
She leads these kids around in a crocodile.
Because the kids have kind of like become more important later on, in that it's shown that when they're tricked, when they replace the good woman with the bad woman says, "Forget waiting for the mediator. He's not going to come. Just rebel. Let's just destroy the machines." The heart machine is called.
Oh yeah.
Machine. Yeah, that's it. Again.
Ham-fisted.
Yeah. It's called the heart machine, and the workers rebel. They push through. They smash into it, and they destroy the heart machine, which causes a massive flood, which is because they've abandoned their children in order to go fight this fight. The children are left to die basically in this flood, and the other good characters come in to.
I don't know if you can tell what's going on here. Maria, the good woman, not the evil robot, but they look the same. The good woman has come up to this massive bell, and she's pulling a massive lever like a video game to ring this huge bell to bring out all the children so they don't drown. Although it wasn't quite clear how the bell was achieving that. The bell starts ringing, the children will come out, but then she keeps ringing it. I don't know.
There might be more kids that can't.
It's like the Titanic. Like that's what someone on YouTube said, is that this flooding and this frenzy, like that part of the film is. Yeah. It feels like the flooding of the Titanic and the James Cameron.
Going back to the start game, because one of the things you see at the start that sort of like fits into more of what you'd imagine the cliched workers thing is that you see the heart machine working and the heart machine explodes.
Is that this?
Yeah. The heart machine explodes, it like kills one of the workers, and then the son of the guy that runs, who's seeing this for the first time, has a vision of what the heart machine really is, and it comes up with like Moloch. And the heart machine sort of like transforms into a giant creature that sucks in,
consuming bald slaves.
Well, yeah, I guess you're saying like you have to sacrifice workers to the machine to keep it working.
Yeah, it's not subtle at all.
Yeah, but that's you'd think that the heart machine's the bad guy. Like to destroy the heart machine is to win the game. Or whatever.
But destroying the heart machine is what provokes the chaos.
Again, like it's a fairly moderate thing. It's saying like the workers are foolish to destroy this.
Yeah, it's like destroying capitalism. It's like, there's problems with capitalism, but if you destroy it, then you're left in anarchy.
Yeah, it's anti-revolutionary. In its message, but like at the start, you're not quite expecting that because it's fairly explicitly showing the machine as being explicitly evil, and thus you think that everything associated with it and everything keeping it going is evil. So destroying it seems like a good idea. But the film is clearly against that because it shows that completely fucks up the city, and it's only by the act of our main characters that all these children are saved.
Yeah, the mediators are the ones who really save the people, they save the workers, they save the city from being completely destroyed. Yeah, right. They stop the.
Or at least the Undercity, because it's again, there's the Undercity gets flooded, not the Overcity. I think the Overcity just has a power cut.
Yeah, it's kind of like the riots in America.
Well, they do show that the robot Maria does cause havoc both below the city and above the city. She causes, because she's so beautiful, she makes all the men like go crazy.
Yeah, there's that
kill each other and kill themselves and do all sorts of things. So,
can we talk about that weird? Sorry, you go on.
Yeah, well, yeah. The evil woman robot causes mayhem both above and below. I don't know whether that was the plan of the evil guy and what he was trying to get out of it, if that was the plan. But she's shown explicitly to be, she causes damage to the upper and lower classes.
Yeah.
Eventually she's burned to death. Like a witch. They call her a witch, don't they?
Yeah.
Burn her on the stake.
Yeah. So the two things I wanted to say about her and about those scenes is that there's that quite weird scene that could have been completely taken out where she does like a sexy dance and she's wearing very little except for like some stickers over her nipples and like a cape like made of like gossamer veil, and she does this like sexy dance, and there's just like the shots of the men watching were very creepy and like
I'm sort of seeing those reaction
very stylistic.
gifs.
Yeah, I thought that was really good. And I also thought the actress portrayed both women very well.
Yeah.
Where they put some like eyeliner on her. She was wearing different clothes, but anytime she was on the screen, you could pretty much tell who you were watching. And obviously it's a very hammy performance in both cases, especially in the evil case.
It's a very broad performance.
Yeah, and there was a lot of.
Yeah. I mean, silent. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I like that about it. It was I like dialogue in movies when it's done well, but it was really interesting. I've never seen this silent film before, to be honest. Embarrassing kind of to admit on a movie podcast, but it was enjoying watching a film where there's just very little dialogue and you're just watching it and inferring the plot. You get what they're saying without having to hear it, because the acting is so hammy and because the story is so basic. You barely need the title cards. There's only like one every 20 seconds on average, I'd say.
Yeah. The story is told very visually. I don't know if any silent films really tried to, because there have been, I don't know if there's
films without dialogue at all.
Definitely like films that have had long chunks without dialogue. Like the start of There Will Be Blood. Like famously, there's a 20-minute non-dialogue sequence. But it's interesting to think.
Pixar shorts don't have dialogue in.
Yeah, I'm just trying to. I think I remember was like this thing called The Blacklist or whatever. There was a script apparently. It was Brad Pitt or something, alone on an island or whatever. It was like Castaway or whatever. But the film's premise was that there was going to be no dialogue in this film.
There's Quest for Fire.
Yeah, that doesn't have any explicit dialogue. I think some people do talk in it, but it doesn't get translated. That's more.
Quest for Fire is, I think, I haven't heard anyone mention it except for the time we watched it. It's one of those like nobody talks about.
It's definitely underappreciated. I think it's really quite a good film.
And Ron Perlman plays the
the
role of a lifetime
yeah.
as a caveman, because he's got a weird caveman face, so he's perfect for it. It was just a good opportunity to read the super chat from DRT.
DRT King just said Quest of Fire has no dialogue.
Well, he's ahead of us. For $5, thank you very much. The benefit of having cheap Germans as actors. This movie has a problem that some people throw at Blade Runner or Citizen Kane. You were out of town for Women's Hour. No problem, DRT. We always do miss you. We're not there, but hope you had a good trip. So what's the same problem some people throw at Blade Runner or Citizen Kane? It's
Blade Runner is
boring and long.
I agree that Blade Runner is boring.
Yeah,
Citizen Kane isn't though.
Well, I don't think I really got it. Maybe we have to talk about Citizen Kane sometimes, because I thought the Citizen Kane was a film about a guy who starts off like young. And, I thought he was young and idealistic to begin with, and that the world kind of wears him down and he becomes like corrupt.
Yeah.
But he just becomes corrupt for no reason. So unless I completely missed the nuance of the film, I've only seen it once, but I wasn't inspired to watch it again. I appreciate some of the cinematography and the direction, and the acting, of course, but there wasn't really much there that I wanted to come back to. Shoot me. The Emperor is wearing no clothes. I said it.
No, I'll go on a limb, controversial, and say that I like Citizen Kane. I think it's a good film.
I didn't think it was a bad film, but I did want to say that about classics, where it's almost like the more boring and old a film is, the more people will defend it, because it makes them look smart to defend not just the classic, but the more boring it is, the more intellectual you must be to be enjoying it.
Yeah, like all the Russian films. Have you ever seen any of those?
No.
I just watched the same guy, Tartakovsky.
Oh no, I did watch one. I watched Ivan's Childhood.
Oh yeah, that wasn't too bad. That was the best one I've seen.
It was a bit long, but it was good.
Yeah, that was the least long, sort of drawn out one that I've seen of his. The other ones were, a bit like later Harry Potter books, where they've become popular enough that they don't have to listen to their editor.
Yeah, okay. The director becomes self-indulgent. The auteur.
They're allowed to be self-indulgent. I think they probably were self-indulgent, but if you're not famous, you're forced to reel in those instincts or get kicked off.
Yeah.
So,
anything more to say about Metropolis? I do want to keep this stream quick. I don't want every stream I do to be over an hour.
Which dances with incels. I don't know if he says, I don't think Post Cable is such a shallow interpretation of such a deep movie.
Well,
Citizen Kane?
I guess it's Citizen Kane. It's a very unpopular opinion. Maybe I didn't watch it with the right mindset, or I was drunk, or not paying attention.
Yeah. I think another thing about classics is that if you do get a lot of build up to it, not just the
hype,
but just your brain starts to form what the film is about and imagine how good it is, and like you're not just watching the film, you're also
getting all the references.
You're decoding. You're watching the film while also reassessing your understanding of the film, because you're going in there with this big thing in your head about what the film is, and you're watching the film, but also you're reintegrating what you're seeing into your mental model of what the film was. Like you're watching, like you go in there thinking, oh, it's about this and about that, and you're expecting the film that you had in your head. You're going like, oh, it's probably going to go like this, and you go like, oh no, it didn't go like that. So that sometimes happens when you're watching a film that you've been prepped for in a multitude of ways. But you could just be a pleb because you don't like Wrath of Khan either.
I mean, I like there's also moments in Wrath of Khan that I like. I just think there's a lot of moments that are a bit drawn out and boring. Like watching Metropolis. I guess, I get like the emotional heights of Wrath of Khan. I guess we're gonna have to watch that again and talk about it on here, because we got paid to. Although I still haven't gone through to figure out who won the bidding war last time, if it was Steel Rain or Wrath of Khan. But I think we should watch Wrath of Khan anyway, because you like it, and I'm betting a lot of people on here I like Star Trek. It feels weird that there's a really, really popular Star Trek film that I don't quite like. So maybe
you haven't seen the motion picture, have you?
I saw it on TV a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Because I don't think I saw, because they redid the special effects, I think, like 10 years ago, and I haven't seen it since then. So it might be worth rewatching that, because that is famously long and drawn out and slow.
I mean, I was watching it I remember what the reveal is, like the...
Yeah, well, I mean...
I remember the plot of it. I mean, I appreciate the thing about Wrath of Khan that they were saying, is it all Red Letter Media says, where they made every Star Trek after that.
Yeah, it was so good.
Became a Wrath of Khan.
It was so good.
Evil guy has a super weapon.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't literally, but it's been a constant thing with Star Trek films that ever since Wrath of Khan, that they've been in the shadow of Wrath of Khan, and they've often gone like, let's make it like Wrath of Khan. It's become almost like a template that it's hard to steer away from, especially as when they're making Star Trek films and they're a bit unsure. They don't have a strong vision of what the Star Trek film should be. Wrath of Khan is there as like the producers are going like, make it like that. Because it's a cultural touch point. It's like a safe model that you can fit stuff to.
But they made that like surprisingly good new Star Trek film Remember when that came out? There was like they crash land. The Enterprise
Oh,
crash lands on a planet, and
mean,
they're just trying to
I
get
don't.
out.
I would just say that the third Abrams-verse film was the best of the the Star Treks. I don't think that I wouldn't. I'd have to rewatch it before I gave a definitive thing. But it's a very low bar to say it's the best of those three films. It is by far the best of those three films. I don't know if it would even hold, like how well it would hold up against like the mediocre like Star Trek 3 or whatever Star Trek films. But yeah,
Search for Spock.
It definitely, if I had to rewatch a Star Trek film, J.J. Abrams one, you know, he didn't direct it.
You know, I just remember there was a marshmallow dispenser in Star Trek 3.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
It makes me. I kind of want to review every.
That wasn't in 3. Was that in 3 or was that in 5 or 6?
I think it's 3.
I don't know.
But I kind of want to watch.
4?
I kind of want to watch all of those original Star Trek films now because they're so weird and charming in that way.
Have you seen? Is it just one you haven't seen? You've seen 5, haven't you?
Oh yeah, I think I've seen all of them at some point. But yeah, what is 5?
5's the what is Star Trek? Sure.
I thought that was 1.
No.
Okay.
You don't even know what one's about. You just give me this lecture about. I know what one is about.
No, it was a long time ago. I'm just I remember that it was it was Vija.
Yeah, it's Vija.
They went looking for Vija.
Yeah. No, it's the one with Captain Kirk directs it. It's like very weird tonally because they just did 4, which is the most famous. The 4 was the most popular and successful one.
Yeah.
And it was quite comedic.
Yeah.
And so they had a lot of pressure to make it a bit lighter, Star Trek 5. So it's got a lot of like awkward jokes in there. Like Kirk is wearing a t-shirt that says "Go climb a rock."
Okay.
It's like fuck off or whatever.
Okay, yeah.
But he's wearing because he's on holiday. He's wearing it. The joke is that the admiral calls him up and he's like wearing the shirt.
I don't remember that, so maybe we need to watch it.
It's not funny. it's kind of weird.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think we should watch Wrath of Khan and then the rest of them as well. if we don't get paid to do any other films, that's what I'm threatening the chat with. We'll be doing Search for Spock, the one with the whales, Voyage Home. The one, what's the fifth one called? Star Trek 5 and Undiscovered Country?
The Undiscovered Country is which was the original title for Star Trek 2.
Yeah.
It's a better title, really.
With Wrath of Khan.
Yeah, Undiscovered Country is a reference to Shakespeare. It's the Undiscovered Country is death.
Yeah.
And Spock dies.
Mm-hmm.
So it's but Wrath of Khan was like an edgier title that would get kids.
Yeah, well, that's what it's about. I mean,
it's not really about the Wrath of Khan.
It's kind of like The Empire Strikes Back, isn't it? Like, it's more like The Wrath of Kirk. That's what people remember.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll read the super chat and then let's call it a short one today.
Yeah,
I don't want to what?
I thought there was more to talk about in Metropolis.
Well, you tell me.
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's just 2 hour. It's a 2 hour film. There's lots of stuff in there.
What about Joseph? What about the tall man? He
was the best character in the whole film.
No one ever talks about him in their YouTube reviews.
I tried looking it up. I couldn't find anyone saying or even suggesting that it was. But he looked an awful he didn't look a lot like him. But he was very reminiscent, at least for me, for the character in Berserk, who looks like he's got a mask for a face, but that's just his face. And they used that character in they sort of like homage that character in Bloodborne. Yeah, the staff guys, they've got white faces, but he had a very distinct face, and he had some very good smug acting.
Yeah, he had some brilliant acting. He really stole the show when he was on screen. I don't have any pictures of him, but I thought I'd put something else on the screen because we've had that one of Moloch for a while.
Yeah, apparently in the book there was a lot more occult magic stuff in the story. That's they got not Star of David, but there's a satanic star at the back.
Yeah, pentagram.
I don't know anything more about it than that, but apparently there's
the style of the 20s really comes through. I guess because I haven't seen that many films from the 20s. It was really interesting to see the kind of flapper girl aesthetic put on the movie screen and have like this Art Deco robot. Was pretty cool. We got $2 from Hello, and they've sent a little Shiba doing a dance. So thank you for that. DRT sent another $5. Thank you. And he says, while I agree Beyond, it's the Star Trek film, is the best of the J.J. Abrams movies, it's still bad. The original series movies are on HBO Max for Americans. Well, that's nice for you Americans, but we'll have to watch it the old-fashioned way. Do you have Wrath of Khan on DVD? I mean, if we do, we'll watch it in HD anyway. But
yeah, I'll have to check. It was definitely on my list of ones to get.
I think you've got it on DVD, and I think I watched the DVD extras last time.
I definitely had it on DVD.
Because I remember there was a middle-aged woman record. Like, she was just a fan, and they got her to record basically what we're doing, where she sits down and she talks through like the film.
Yeah.
And there's this like brilliant bit that really made me laugh, where she just talks about the sacrifice of Spock, where she says that, this is his solution to the no-win scenario, but did he really win? Well, I guess that's she just like talks through the basic.
Well, the idea of the no-win scenario is that you don't win, but he came up with the best losing scenario. Yeah.
It's like, but so he found a way to win, but did he really win?
Yeah, because we talked about that one, but like the way they deal with that in the J.J. Abrams, is, I don't know, like there's so many bits in the J.J. Abrams films that just are perfect examples of how bad they are. I wouldn't want to say that's the absolute best example, but they have him.
Is it skin suit?
What is it? I can't remember. Because
it's been completely memory hold. Like the Benedict Cumberbatch was Khan in a Star Trek film, just seems to be completely wiped from the cultural memory. I mean,
that film has been completely wiped.
Yeah,
most of J.J. Abrams' stuff has left like no impact. It's like he's such a bad director. He's such a hack. Yeah, remember Cloverfield? No, Cloverfield. He didn't direct that. What was the other one that he directed? That got such a lot of hype. I can't even remember what it was called. Remember Super 8?
Yeah.
Super 8. That was so much hype around the time, saying it's like a new Spielberg film. It was like, but it was just a big vacuum of nothing.
Yeah, no, I remember that film. I saw that film. I don't remember anything about it.
Yeah, I knew it because I was super excited because they got Michael Arndt to write the first drafts of episode 7.
Yeah,
and I was a huge fan of Michael Arndt's stuff, and I knew that he'd been doing like talks about the story structure of A New Hope, and like you a really good like understanding. If you ever want to see something, look
Little Miss Sunshine.
Yeah, look up Michael Arndt's like lectures on story structure.
You have a video essay about endings, which was
he did a story on. He did one on endings and beginnings, and also on the ending of Star Wars, the original Star Wars. So like that guy, like, yeah, I mean, maybe it wouldn't have been good, but there was no one in the world that was better suited to write. If you have to do a sequel to Star Wars, a sequel trilogy to Star Wars, and as soon as they got J.J. Abrams as director, I thought this is fucked.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that I got vindicated, although no one knows that or cares.
You were the first person I ever heard say that the Force Awakens was a bad film.
Really?
Do you remember that? Like, everyone thought it was good when it came out. No one remembers that now because everyone remembers it being bad because it is bad. But when it first came out, it was getting good reviews. Even Red Letter Media said it was pretty good.
Yeah, I think that was a general.
Now no one would dare say that it was a good film.
No, I guess people have got braver in retrospect since.
It was the best of a bad lot.
I think the only argument now is which is the worst of the films.
Yeah. No, the first one I thought was, it was kind of offensive that it was a Star Wars film, but I thought it was fine.
We didn't talk about the fact the influences of Metropolis. We can talk about that.
The influences on it, or the
the influences. Of it. It's both ways, isn't it? Because obviously it was influenced by H.G. Wells and other stuff like that, but also the picture there—that's C-3PO.
Yeah,
and also like Blade Runner homaged it at least. I can't think of any of films that like I was wondering if Inception with the flooded city was a subtle reference to Metropolis, or it was just, a flooded cities are going to look like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a mythical, like the flood is like a mythical, like force of nature. Like,
but a flood
instinctive.
in a huge like metropolis, a flood is like quite evocative. Yeah, it's the juxtaposition between the high tech and the natural order, sort of destroying the hubris of mankind. So,
Tower of Babel, that was a big, like, not a very subtle reference.
Well, it literally didn't.
It tells the whole story. Maria tells the whole story of
the
Tower of Babel.
Yeah, just in case you
didn't read the Bible, it's all out. It's all there for you.
Yeah.
Because you never read a book in your life. Although that wasn't like and people still don't. There's no like conclusive reading of the Tower of Babel of like this is a story about technology. It's a story about multiculturalism. It's a story about whatever. But they didn't. That's a fairly nuanced story. Here, I don't know exactly what they were using to evoke it, like saying it was a good thing. I appreciate that Hello in the chat has written the words shaky cam with what looks like katakana, which I appreciate the grift. Anything else?
I'll just read the chat. J.J. Abrams is never good. That's correct.
This is
somebody thinks Super 8 is good. Well,
there's someone in the chat.
Yeah, they're not correct.
This is like the Blade Runner. You can see like the strong Blade Runner influence here.
Oh, no, there's another shot where it's Blade Runner lifts it like one for one almost.
With the ship flying out of it.
It's a top down. Oh, it's the same building, but it's like a top down shot.
This whole like I don't understand. This is a nightmare sequence where the statues come to life and there's a skeleton playing the flute, and I don't know what I was supposed to get out of that dream sequence.
Incarnations of the 7 deadly sins along with death to sort of to round them out.
Roger Cook in the chat says he likes The Fringe, but I think he just means Fringe. You remember that TV show Fringe?
JJ's name was attached to it, but it was just like Lost. JJ basically didn't touch Lost, although Lost is still not that great, but JJ's like Spielberg in that he attaches his name to stuff. Like at least Spielberg, there is a genuine cachet to Spielberg, but JJ also somehow manages to get away with that by sticking his name on stuff. Like I said before, like a lot of people think that JJ Abrams directed Cloverfield. He didn't. Some other guy, but his name was absolutely pushed very hard for Cloverfield. And Fringe. I don't think JJ had almost no involvement outside of maybe writing like the Bible or whatever. I don't think he wasn't a showrunner at that point. On that, he was doing movies and stuff like shitty Star Trek films.
I watched Fringe.
Yeah, I thought Fringe was fine as like a X-Files.
Yeah, there was like weirdly, I watched Fringe before I watched X-Files, so it was just kind of a slightly more high budget version of X-Files. Kind of felt like.
Yeah, it was. I mean, yeah.
I like that old man. Denethor.
Denethor. Yeah, it was Denethor.
He's great.
I think it sort of ran out of steam towards the end, but it was.
I stopped watching before the end.
It was pretty good, like sci-fi fluff. Definitely like watchable. I don't know if I've not seen it since it came out. I don't know if I actually saw the last because it really shit the bed towards the end. I can't remember like what was going on. I just remember it being like they just.
Once they put it all out there with the parallel universes and they could go between, there was like they swapped the women.
Yeah, there's like a war. Was it though? The premise was they wanted to destroy the other parallel universe in order to save the other one.
Oh, there was like evil Denethor, wasn't there?
Yeah,
on the other side, who wasn't quite as batty and senile and awesome.
Yeah, they kind of rode the tiger on the story, but the tiger ended up eating them towards the end. I think they remember the bald men with the hats.
Yeah, they were kind of doing an X-Files thing there, but then it was like the J.J. Abrams, where it was like it was more interesting mystery than it was a payoff.
I think the payoff wasn't really terrible, but it was not great. But I can't criticize it too much since I don't remember the specifics. But it's definitely.
I guess we just spoiled Fringe for anyone who hasn't seen
I
it.
don't know, but it's still worthwhile. Like, the best moments of Fringe is like standalone episodes. They do the X-Files thing quite well in that they have that cool tease where like a guy will walk into a building and like he turns it, like he shatters or something. And like, whoa, what's this going to be about? Yeah.
If that's not an episode, it should be. You should write Fringe. Okay. I still want to finish the stream unless you're.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions about?
Well, I eventually
comments on Metropolis.
Okay.
Well, things that they want to talk about Metropolis.
While you're thinking about Metropolis, I'll just say that what's in the queue. I do want to talk to you about Columbo because we watched all of the Columbos.
We did watch all of the Columbos.
We watched all of the classic Columbos.
Yes, all the classic. Yeah.
Every single one. Those were great. I've so much to say. I basically want to break down the Columbo investigation method, or and also the omniscient ghost theory, the headcanon of Columbo. I want to talk about Mean Girls, not with you, but with
a girl.
Yeah, I want to get Pharaoh back to talk about more Disney films. Beauty and the Beast, maybe Tangled.
Wasn't there an edgy person talking about? Oh, that guy. Yeah, you should invite him on.
Who? Oh yeah, the guy who does.
Filius.
Yeah, he's a kind of small channel doing film analysis, feminine and masculine stuff.
Yeah, he did a whole like series on that, and he doesn't many subs, so he's bound to say yes.
Yeah, well, we'll see. And I guess I think Amy wanted to come on to talk about Little Shop of Horrors. You excited about that?
Yeah,
Amy from Ramen Hour, for anyone who doesn't know.
It's a classic.
Yeah.
I mean, I assume she
not the
likes
classic, but the
that is a classic.
Yeah.
It's like the original.
Alan Menken musical.
Yeah.
Yeah, she loves it, and she knows I love it, and you love it.
Yep.
So we should get our daughter in because she likes the song at the start, the scary.
She said it's scary. Yeah.
Yeah, it's too scary, but she.
I should try and get her to watch it because she.
Yeah. So that if you're interested in any of those, leave a comment and maybe we'll get to it a bit sooner if we know that people are hyped for it. Columbo, it's just a case of waiting until there's a good week to do it because I'm pretty much ready to go on that anytime. We just have to wait for a good opportunity when there's nothing else in the queue. But next up will be Star Trek, Wrath of Khan, and possibly other Star Trek films. And if Steel Rain won the auction, then I should really review that as well. I haven't seen it, so we'll see.
Steel Rain?
The Korean one.
Yeah, I don't think we can watch that because I don't think it's available anyway.
It's not available? Well, it's a good excuse not to do it, but I'm going to check that.
I looked for it, but...
All right, everyone, hope you had a good weekend. Sorry it's a Monday, and enjoy Valentine's Day, everyone who has love in their life. Happy Valentine's Day, sweetie.
Happy Valentine's Day.
People in the chat always make jokes that you're my dad.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah. What do you think about that? Anything to say to them?
I'm still peeking.
All right. See you later, everyone.